A truth we could see if we had, but... If we had... Faith! 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 Cut!
Hail Caesar. So a funny thing happened yesterday. My friends and I went into the theater to watch Hail Caesar. And when the film started, this is what we first heard.
Vergib mir, Vater, ich habe gesündigt.
Wie lange ist deine letzte Beichte her, mein Sohn?
27 Stunden.
Everyone in the theater, including me, was like, what the fuck? In German? The schedule said it was in English. How dare they? We want a refund. Finally the film stopped and we got the real deal. And after watching the whole film in its original, I'm so glad we did not have to settle to watch it in German. The reason being that different Hollywood genre accents in this film are what makes this film so darn entertaining. And honestly, the film would have been completely ruined if I had to watch it in another language. Let this be a lesson to you, Deutschland. So the Coen brothers returned to the big screen with yet another zany, dark comedy named Hail Caesar. The film takes its view into the 1950s Hollywood, where we come across the studio fixer of Capitol Pictures, Eddie Mannix, played by Josh Brolin. The main star, Barrett Whitlock, gets kidnapped by an unknown group called The Future, and they demand a certain ransom for his safe return. And now it is up to Eddie Mannix to bring peace to this chaos and save Capitol Pictures in the process. If you've been following the career of Coen brothers, it's fairly obvious that they have a certain love for cinema and the studio system, stuff that was also present in the previous film Barton Fink. And Hail Caesar is definitely a love letter to the golden age of Hollywood. From the musicals to the low-budget westerns to the screwball comedies of the era, Coen brothers have encapsulated the time just perfect. I mentioned the Hollywood accents at the beginning of this video, and boy are they just fantastic. Especially Scarlett Johansson.
I ain't doing that again. I had 2 marriages. It just cost the studio a lot of money to bust them up.
Now, it is fairly obvious that depicting realism was not what the film was really about. It pays homage to the golden age of Hollywood by being the golden age of Hollywood. Does that make any sense? Nope. But it works for the film. So if you were like me and grew up watching TCM on television, don't ask. I was a sheltered child and movies were my salvation. Then you could see the film paying tribute to the forgotten stars of the golden age. Every scene, every character is a direct homage to something from that particular era. For example, the big Capitol Studios film production Hail Caesar, The Story of the Christ, a title which I laughed out loud way more than I should have, is a tiny disguised homage to the MGM extravaganza Ben-Hur. Ralph Fiennes mirrors perhaps one of my favorite screwball comedy directors, Preston Sturges. Scarlett Johansson is an homage to Esther Williams, Channing Tatum to Gene Kelly, and the list continues on. The film takes its view into a day in the life of a studio fixer, kind of similar in some ways to Fellini's 8.5. So there are tons of stories happening simultaneously. Okay, where do I begin? Brolin comes across all these crazy Hollywood stars and their problems at the studio. Scarlett Johansson's character has a child from a marriage-less relationship. Meanwhile, their main star is kidnapped. A new rising star is inadvertently shoved into a comedy, but he lacks the acting chops to pull that off. Brolin is a devout Catholic who wants to quit smoking. Television is slowly taking over cinema, and many more. Now admittedly, this might confuse us all what the film is actually about, but I guess it's quite simple. It's really about nothing.
Just talking? Well, what's the show about? It's about nothing.
Or it's just about what craziness goes on inside a film studio. And it is the characters that elevate the plot and not the storyline. But with all its entertainment value, there is one big elephant in the room that needs to be addressed. With all its amazing characters, you do somehow wonder what the Coen brothers wanted to accomplish with this film. Or am I supposed to be affected in any way imaginable? The brilliance of their previous films, Inside Llewyn Davis and A Serious Man, is that they both resonated with me long after I was done watching them. And I cannot say for sure that Hail Caesar actually does that for me. The jokes are undoubtedly hilarious, especially the one with Frances McDormand, which was so out of place that I honestly had to laugh out loud and say, what the hell? And the scenes are memorable, but somehow the film as a whole is not. Many members in the audience were disappointed in how the film ends and needed a bit more of a satisfying conclusion to the story. And somehow I felt the same way as well. But I do understand now that that was not the intention of the film. Hail Caesar is essentially a character study, and the plot basically serves as a mere backdrop. This can be seen both as an advantage and a disadvantage to the film. The film is an introspect into the crazy world that Josh Brolin lives in, and not a straight coherent narrative. It's essentially how a studio system used to function. So if you look at it from that perspective, then the film was successful in what it was trying to achieve. But of course, Hail Caesar still has a lot more going for it, especially a breakout performance from Alden Ehrenreich, who pretty much stole every scene he was in. And the spaghetti rodeo scene might probably be my favorite scene of the film.
I can do the handstand smoother if you give me another shot at her.
We got 4 good ones, Hoban. Whitey's tired.
Visually, Roger Deakins once again proved that he is the best cinematographer in the business right now. The shadows, the colors, the lighting in every scene was so fantastic that I sometimes had to focus hard on what was happening on screen rather than drooling at the visuals. Technically, the film is just top notch, but similar to the previous film Burn After Reading, you're just kinda left with a sense of emptiness inside you.
Is it hard squeezing it like that?
It's part of the job, miss.
Overall, the film is very entertaining. If you like Coen Brothers humor and the lack of coherent storyline doesn't bother you, then go watch this film. It's worth every cent. But for now, I'm gonna give this film a 4 out of 5 stars.
Action. Halt. Well, then it were so simple.
Cut.